class of 93 in the city of Gary, Indiana, is going to have a citywide celebration for our 50th birthday.
Ooh.
So I thought, let's collaborate. Let's start up a networking so that those that are entrepreneurs or people of influence in their particular segments of life can share their journey, what they're doing, how we can best help them. That's why it's all love, because
Yeah.
I feel like networking and reconnecting is going to be a beautiful thing over the next, for heck, the rest of our lives, actually.
The
So
rest of our lives. And it's exactly what you said, it's all love, you know. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful celebration. We are moving into the golden age and we are celebrating our golden age. You know, the 50-year birthday is the golden age. And we're in a time that's being called the golden age. So I'm excited for all of this juice, all this love, all this gold. Come on. Oh, we were
right,
red and white though. Troopers is red and white, but we'll put a little gold fringe on there, you know.
give Belt a little love in that one. Give him a little love.
I don't know about all that, but
So we're going to be featuring people from the. We're going to start with our class, of course, class of '93 from work. We're going to be featuring the entrepreneurs. We want to talk to them, brainstorm with them. Again, talk about their journey. You know, why they decided to do the things. So let's start with you. That was a great question for yourself. What
oh.
started your journey into?
Hmm.
Well, tell us about yourself. Tell us any changes that have gone on in your life. But let's start with the basic. You are a 1993 graduate of William A. Wirt High School, and what happened from there?
Um, so I was one of the students who went to the Career Center. So I did the half-day school schedule, half day at work, half day at the Career Center. And what I did at the Career Center was marketing.
Okay.
When I left high school, I went directly into cosmetology.
Okay.
So hair care professional. So that was more service work and my path continued in that service lane. So I went from a hair care professional to a massage therapist to a doula and lactation educator. And now I do spiritual healing work, mostly working in the energetic realm.
Okay.
I consider it to be like subtle energy work, subtle energy healing. But what I've learned is that that starting point of taking marketing has carried me because that's a through line in all of the work that I do. We have to market ourselves.
Right. Absolutely.
So being in the service industry in that way, I've really been able to pull from those early roots of marketing class with Mr. Maybon.
Okay. At the Career Center. So journey started homegrown.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Mhm.
You're currently in North Carolina.
I'm
Have you
currently in North Carolina.
so
Yeah.
have you lived anywhere else outside of North Carolina, and why?
Listen, I was about to start this conversation of Gary versus Miller.
Mhm.
I moved out of my mom's house in that yellow house on the corner of 10th Avenue with the silver windows and yellow stoops in the front. I moved from there to 6th Avenue in Miller. And then when I got married, I moved to the west side of Gary, which is where I lived for like 15 years.
Okay.
And then I lost my mom to breast cancer in 2014.
So sorry.
And yeah, thank you. At that time, I was working in higher education, and I still do work in higher ed. I'm on sabbatical right now, but I was working in higher ed at the time, and I took a 6-week notice so that I could care for my mom. And then I finished, my last day was on Friday, and by that Monday, she was gone.
Wow.
Yeah. So that left me with an opportunity. My partner and I at the time, we had the opportunity to really revisit what is it that we want to do. That felt like an invitation for us to uproot and begin again. We're both born and raised in Gary. So we had that conversation and started looking at where we might want to replant
Okay.
ourselves. And that ended up being North Carolina. Funny enough, we made that decision because my mom loved diners, drive-ins, and dives. I don't know if
Mhm.
you're familiar with that
Yeah,
show.
that TV show. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But she never traveled for any of it. So
Mm.
for my 40th birthday, I decided I was going to just, find some dino drive-ins and dives and travel to them in her honor. And two of them were here in North Carolina. So along our journey, we fell in love with North Carolina. And then later, maybe a year later, in fact, a year to the date of me losing my mom, we relocated here to North Carolina.
Okay, okay. So
Mhm.
this is now home. You have
This is
found
home.
a new version of yourself here in North Carolina.
That's so fascinating that you framed it that way, a new version of myself, because this journey has been so fascinating for me. When I was 16, I had a near-death experience. So this is in Gary.
Mhm.
And that experience completely changed my outlook on the world. Like it popped me out of my body and I was experiencing like the world in a completely different way. And I couldn't unsee that. So a lot of my path was formed by that experience. And I consider it to be like a connection to the ancestral realm that I think we all know we have, but some of us have experienced that a little bit differently. People who have had out of body experiences or near death experiences, like what
Mhm.
I had. And in that connection to the ancestral realm, I received a lot of information. This can start to sound really meta or woo, but one of those things was my name. And
Mhm.
so I've actually transitioned into a completely different person. I went from Erica to Maji.
So
So
I've been calling you the wrong name this entire time.
yes,
Okay. So
it's not, I wouldn't say it's the wrong name. It's just an old name.
okay.
A different person, it
Mhm.
really is a different person. And so very few people call me Erica anymore. It's even sounds weird to my ears sometimes. But
Mhm.
yeah, my name is Maji. So I go by Maji. And I divorced in 2022. So I'm no longer
Amen.
Erica Avance, I'm Maji Avance.
Body. Okay.
Yeah. So that's that journey. It has really been just this evolution of growth from 1975, 1993 to where we are now,
Mhm. Yeah.
2025. Yeah.
So let's talk about it's holistic healing, right?
Yes. Yes.
So let's talk about, was that near death experience a part of that, a part of this process of you opening this type of business?
It absolutely was. So what happened for me with that near death experience was that I had a lot of medical interactions. And in those interactions, I was experiencing the disparate impact that we see in data today. I was actually experiencing that in the harms that were taking place while I was receiving medical care
Mhm.
and when I was in labor. I had a child at a young age when I was 17. And so the experiences that I had throughout my labor process were so harmful and traumatic for me that I decided that I could have an impact on other people who look like me and have experiences like me so that they didn't have to take that same journey by themselves. And so that's when I became a doula. This was
Okay.
in 2000.
Okay.
In 2000, I became a doula and lactation educator with the thought that I could change somebody else's world.
Yeah.
And so from that point, when I conceived my daughter,
Mhm.
I stopped taking all forms of medication, like no, not even a baby aspirin.
Okay.
And still today, I have not had even a cough drop since
Really?
since 1992.
I'm like, really? I had one like 10 minutes ago. I was-
Yeah, so I'm very much like, this is my belief system that self-care is my healthcare. And that was derived from my experience in, with the healthcare administrators and just the healthcare system.
Okay. Okay.
My experience with the healthcare system led me to believe that I was safer caring for myself. So
Wow.
self-care became my healthcare. And then I started teaching other people how to have this same path. That process happened during a weight loss journey for me where I was already pretty healthy in the way I navigated the world and in my diet as well. But being a wife and a mom,
Mhm.
life just be lifing out here.
Right.
And before I knew it, my knees was like, child, we got to do something different.
You said your knees.
My knees was talking.
I said, wait
My
a
knees
minute.
was talking. And so I went from 210 pounds down to 125 pounds in 9 months
Wow.
with no medical intervention, and with a diet that I was establishing for myself. I was pretty much just having a conversation with my body on what works and what doesn't. And by the time I figured out what doesn't work, my body kind of like took on that journey on its own. And I have continued that weight loss. 122 pounds was a little bit too little, I'll say,
Okay.
for
Gotcha.
me.
Gotcha.
And in our culture, there's some messaging around, what health is and isn't.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of reprogramming, I think, that's available because a lot of my loved ones were attempting to intervene in my health journey by asking me to stay attached to these unhealthy ways of being just because of
Hmm.
a fear of what it might look like for me to be too small.
Okay.
You
That's
know,
interesting.
it is very interesting. And a lot of my clients experience the same thing, like this fear that if they lose their butt, then they're gonna
Hmm.
lose their man, you know?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Okay. You, okay. So let's pause right there for a second. So who is your target market? Is your target market African Americans or just anybody that approaches you?
so that actually shifted for me as well. Initially, I thought I could save the world. So that
Hmm.
was people, that was everyone and anyone who was on a journey of health and healing.
Hmm.
But what I've come to understand, and I think because of so much of my work being connected to ancestral healing, what
Hmm.
I've come to understand is I can best help people who live in my neighborhood. So I tell people I can help those who have roots in my root system. So that's my target audience at this point. I don't necessarily articulate it as Black women, Black men, Black people, just
Hmm.
people who live in my neighborhood, who walk down the same street as I walk down, who see the world in
From your
similar
lens.
ways.
Oh,
Yeah,
similar lenses.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
we have those shared experiences. I don't know that other communities have the experience where their partners and loved ones tell them if you lose your body fat, you'll be less of a woman or less of a man. We have some social constructs in our community that other communities don't have to navigate.
So is that your biggest challenge when you're dealing with your people in your, in your vicinity, their self-image of themselves?
Yeah, because the programming that
Mm.
we've been subject to becomes really difficult for us to break away from that programming that tells us what it means to be a Black fill in the blank,
Mhm.
because we're grounded in the societal programming that says we're 3/5 of human to begin with.
Okay.
So we take on this belief system that in order to be seen as whole, we have to be fill in the blank.
Mhm.
That programming to shift people's perspective of believing that to believing that their body holds the key to what optimal health is for them
Mhm.
is a process that can be very difficult for people. Representation matters though. So when I present myself as a highly melanated, kinky haired Black woman, mother of four, who was able to find success in shedding the stories that I have been told and
Mhm.
becoming the author of my own story, that helps other people believe that they can do the same thing.
So now you're hitting the age of 50. So it sounds like you're shifting again. It sounds like you've had some shifts. So now you're shifting again. You're shifting, from my understanding, from the corporate world to really doing this. Or
Yeah.
are you still going to have a foot in corporate America as you shift to this?
Well, my goal is for corporate America to pay for the work that
Mhm.
we need in our community because it is largely because of the social constructs that we find ourselves with financial barriers to health and healing. So this is a huge evolutionary phase for me because I do intend to continue providing this work to colleges and universities because we're there as well. And that's
Mhm.
a perfect time in our life course
Mhm.
to get this messaging that we can heal ourselves, that to care for ourselves is our safest and best means of healthcare. We see what's happening all around us right now in corporations and in the government in general, particularly in medicine. We have so much historical references for how that industry is harmful to our community. So my intention is to meet that life course stage
Mhm.
and shift those perspectives as we navigate deeper into our adulthood and into our later stages in life. Like
Mhm.
health is the new wealth,
Health
you
is the new
know?
one. All right, I can
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. So along that journey, I am shifting from my role in corporate America, so that's changing,
Mhm.
building my business, which is Heal University. And right now, I'm also writing a book
Mhm.
that will discuss the journey of healing while Black.
Okay.
One of the frames there is it is impossible to access health and healing if you don't have access to safety. And for Black people, access to safety has largely escaped us in this country. So then you
Mhm.
begin to ask the question of how can we heal if we can't access safety? And we can look at the data that shows that our health disparities are just disturbing and only getting greater and greater.
So you said a lot in these last few minutes, honestly. I like I'm very in. I listen. I listen
Yeah,
to people a lot.
yeah,
So it sounds like you had a vision, and people didn't agree with your vision, but you had the strength to carry your vision to fruition, and you continue to do that.
yeah,
What did that look like, doing that you were going against the grain of your circle? That was your inner circle saying, "Hey, girl, what you doing?
yeah.
You doing too much over there. What you not? You need
Listen, it was
to."
always team too much over here, you know? Yeah, thank you for that question because that I would say has been one of the most difficult parts of this journey. What it did was increased my access to courage. It's a
Mhm.
very vulnerable position to go against the grain. But I got comfortable doing that because for me, and I recognize that this is both a privilege and one of the most difficult things that I've navigated, going against the grain, I mean.
Mhm.
But for me, having that near death experience at the age of 16, at such a young age, seeing my inner world in a way that for me was more real than the outer world that I existed in majority of the time, that made it one of those things where you can't unsee it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I've conversed, like I've shared that experience with a number of people, and I have the benefit of knowing that there are untold numbers of people who have had this sort of experience, the whole white light,
Oh wow.
experience.
Because I didn't want to die. I wasn't going to say, hey, Eric, tell us what you saw. I didn't want to do that to you.
It'll be in the book.
Oh, there you go. Something you got to save for the book. Save it for
Yeah,
the book.
yeah.
Can't tell everybody everything.
You'll have to read the book.
Gotcha.
But knowing that, like I'm not an outlier in that experience helps me
Mhm.
ground in and, stand 10 toes down in this is my experience, it is real, and that's on that. That made it a lot easier for me. I will say that even today, I am still very separate from my community,
Mhm.
largely for those reasons, because I have a very different view of the world than most people who are in my direct vicinity.
So, as you're looking to monetize on your, because I'm going to make some assumptions, and then you can correct me with my assumptions.
Yeah.
You want to monetize on your business. That's a part of your ministry, right? It's this healing process, of course, because that's always deeply personal for people, making sure that they can heal. But also, how do you conceptualize making money here?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's literally the $1 million question, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
because everything that I've shared to this point has been very philanthropic because of our barriers to financial stability and because of the audience that I had
Mhm.
access to. I have been doing this work mostly just out of the generosity and care of, of our community and wanting people like me who look like me to be able to have access to the health and healing that this particular society seeks to make sure we don't have access to. And then in 2020, during the pandemic, I started to see people stepping into spaces of thriving financially in the same field of work that I've been navigating like my whole life. So I started to really see that my lifestyle is a brand,
Okay.
you know?
That's a heck of a story, honestly. Going from
Thank
210 to
you.
125, that takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, what I say is doing that work
Mhm.
changed my body, obviously,
Mhm.
but it also changed my mind because I had to reprogram from the belief that I would be less of a woman without that weight. So it changed my mind. And when my body and mind started to have that deep conversation with one another, my spirit was like,
Mhm.
girl, the ancestors came online and said, okay, baby, you ready.
So, were you in that process at our 20th reunion?
At our 20th reunion,
That'd have been what, 2020? No. What was our 20th reunion? 93.
yeah, you definitely gonna have to do the math.
Yeah, I got to do 90, 10 years. It's '03,
So, no, 13 would be
13.
20
Were you
years.
in that process then or?
So
Mhm.
I think I was pretty cute at our 20-year. But you know what's fascinating about this? When I lost that weight, the
Mhm.
number of people who came to me and said, I had no idea you had that much weight to lose was
Mhm.
stunning to me. Like people helped me see that I was carrying that weight in a way that people didn't even realize I was, according to Eurocentric standards, I was morbidly obese.
Obese. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And people didn't realize that. Like I said, my knees told me.
Mhm.
My
Yeah,
knees are
hold
the
on. Change. We need some change, player.
yeah. Apparently I was just like, carrying that weight really well. And to be honest with you, I miss that body. I
Mhm.
miss those curves. But no, I had not started that
Okay.
journey then. I didn't start until 2018.
2018. Okay.
Yeah. So in 2018, my best friend and I decided we needed to get our hot girl summer bodies on, but neither one of us had time for the gym. And
Okay.
so the real goal was figuring out how to lose weight without having to, one, spend money for a gym membership that I likely would never use, and two, travel for fitness. Like, I already
Mhm.
didn't have time. So where am I
Right,
going to
right.
find the time to not only be in the gym, but travel to and from the gym, you know? Every
Hmm.
minute counts.
Right, right.
So that, like, I was really looking for a way to make those two happen. And I found it, I found it. And I was messing up a lot, like trying to figure it out. Essentially, what it was sugar, removing sugar from my diet. But I had no idea what sugar was. It's more than just that, those white grains we put in our Kool-Aid and
Right, right.
on top of grits.
Sugar don't go on grits. I just want you to know that. Just wanted you to know that. Sugar don't go on.
We'll talk about that later.
Talk about that. I digress.
So I had to go through the process of really understanding, learning how to read nutritional labels and really understanding not only what I was putting in my body, but understanding that I had to be fully responsible for that, because I don't know what's going on
Mhm,
in the kitchen of these restaurants that
mhm.
we go to. So once I did that, I say that it was definitely like 2019 before I figured it out and my body was ready to
Mhm.
take over. So it was June, I'll say maybe June of 2019. Yeah, June to September of 2019,
Mhm.
where my body really started to shift, in these really profound ways.
Okay, okay. So, what would you tell to a person who was looking to start their own business and just was at the ground level? What would you tell that person?
Mm. I would tell that person that their dreams, their goals, their desires are their responsibility.
Mhm,
That no one is going to care for your baby the way you care for your baby.
mhm,
I spent a lot of time trying to get other people to see my vision, to support my vision, to assist me in that vision.
mhm,
But just like no one else has your eyeglass prescription, no one else has your vision. That is for
mhm,
you to respond to. And
mhm.
so don't get deterred or swayed by other people's inability to see your vision. Understand your assignment, stay the course, and make it happen.
Okay. What would be the best way to communicate with you in order to support your business?
I do have a website.
Hmm.
My business is called Heal University, and my website is healuniversity.org.
Okay.
I'm gonna spell it out because I got a little fancy with the way I spell it. So university is spelled YOU.
Hmm.
And that intention there is that you are your own universe. So heal yourself. Do this work for yourself. So you can find me at www.healuniversity.org. Everywhere on Heal University.
Yeah. What would you like to leave us with?
Yes,
Hmm.
I would love for everyone to first ground into the understanding, the belief, and the knowing that we are fully whole human beings. That's number one, because history itself does not hold that truth for us. And so society doesn't hold that truth for us. The language that we hear does not hold that truth for us. We are whole humans, deserving of all of the joy and goodness that this experience has for us. That's number one.
Mhm.
And number two, I want everyone to understand your love for yourself is your healing. Your self-care is your health care. And we can heal ourselves, we can heal our families, we can heal our communities. And when we do this work, we heal the world. We literally heal the world. And I think right now, the earth itself is asking for us to do this work.
Well, thank you, Maja, aka Erica A. Vance. Uh, I had to get used to calling you Maja because I don't want to
Okay.
be disrespectful. I don't want to be. Am I saying the name right? I'm saying it right.
No, you're not.
What say the name? Help me.
So it's Maji. It's
Maji.
M-A-J-I. Yeah,
Maji Avance,
there you
aka.
go.
I thank you for your time. Um, we do hold the right to bring you back. Well, like people get.
93, class of 93 got a loophole. Come on.
Yeah, we get. Yeah, I reserve the right to bring you back. So you were the first.
Yeah, I'm not, listen, that's one thing that I learned about this lifetime. My birthday, I will be 50 on March 1st.
Oh.
And I have learned that that is a command for me to be first. Get out there and
Mm.
march first. That's my command. That's my mission. And I definitely understand that assignment.
Okay. Well, that we gonna end on that note because she understands the assignment, y'all. Well, minding our business. First episode, All Eyes on 93 is a wrap. See you.